Hello, Kubrick Lover 1972 here. You probably know me better as Brian, or maybe well, whatever. Anyways, I guess I don't see anybody on here yet. Um, oh no, I don't. So maybe I'll just start. I know I started I started a little late, and I'm still new to the streaming process. Um, I put in a I put a video on my channel saying I'd be on about 8 o'clock, and I'm a little past that. I'm about 8:14 right now, um, Eastern Standard Time, um, and I don't know if I know. I was trying to see on the on the internet whether or not when I see other people's channels showing, I'm going to be on at such and such a time. I was trying to look for myself and see if that appeared on my if it appeared on YouTube, but I couldn't find it. Maybe it does. I have no idea. I'm not totally computer savvy, so I don't know. Um, I don't know if it I don't think it showed that says uh, Kubrick Lover 1972 will be on at such and such a time. So anyways, there's one person on right now. I'm going to show my film books. I was saying that I was going to show some other stuff too, other books, but because I guess I didn't know if I was going to show other books with the film books, but I guess those other books would be for another stream or video. Oh, hey, Sasha. Thanks for being on here. Thanks. So, anyways, I guess let's start, even though it's just Sasha's on here. So these are film books. I'm going to have some filmmaking books and then some film bios, some of which I've read, some of which I have not. This I've read. I think it's pretty relevant even to today. It's called What They Don't Teach You at Film School. I had more than one copy of this book. The first copy I had, the pages were falling out. It's written by two women that I think they're graduate students, but they tell you like what you don't learn in film school, or like the professor asking the first day who wants to be a director, and people putting their hands down, and not really having the control of your destiny. Like I don't know. It's got some really great tips in here. I really like this book a lot. But it just shows like things you're never going to learn in film school that you really have to have the street smarts or whatever, how to pick up. And this is a pretty good book. So it's written by Camille Lando and Tier White. And I recommend this if you want to get, oh, hey, Wolf. So that's two people on right now. Yeah, so this book is, it's telling you how to make films. Maybe some of it's kind of changed now because film equipment is cheaper. And like distribution these days, you can put stuff on the internet, and there's more film festivals, so maybe some of the stuff might have become no longer needed, but there's still a lot of great advice in here, so I highly recommend that book, which is what they don't teach you at film school. Next up, I think I tried to read. Oh, hello. Hi, I think that's Dino. If that's who I think it is. This one, I think I've read parts of it. Oh, okay. Yeah. Hi. How are you doing? This one, I think I've only read parts of it. I'd like to read the whole thing, but it's sound design by David Sonneshan. I think some of these books I'm going to show you are Michael Weiss books. He's a publisher that published a whole bunch of filmmaking books, and this is one of them. I have a whole bunch of his books, and we might come across more of them as we look at these books. So use of music and voice and sound effects. Um, I don't know if I can talk about this book in depth because I haven't read it, but I think it's pretty good. I think it's a pretty good book to have. Gary Rydstrom does a blurb here, who did the sound design for Terminator 2, Titanic, Jurassic Park, Saving Private Ryan. So so that's sound design. Next up, we have another Michael Weiss written by Rick Veers. It's a sound effects Bible. I don't think I read this either, but I love reading filmmaking books. They're a lot of fun to read, and you can learn a lot. There's Randy Tom, who does a blurb on the back here, director of sound design at Skywalker Sound. Of course, some of these books might be outdated because of technology. Randy, who Toy Story films? You mean Randy Tom? You're talking about? But I still think some of these filmmaking books are still relevant to this day and age. But it tells you how to do various sound effects. I think like Foley, for example. That's when like when they film movies, and when they can't really pick up all the sounds on location, so they go into a studio and they make sounds up. Like they record with microphones, people walking on gravel and sand, and to like punch up like a sound effect, like a punch or something. They might use lettuce, ripping of lettuce, or just various things to get sounds that you take for granted when you're watching movies. And I think it shows you how to build a Foley studio, if I'm not correct, if I'm not mistaken here. So one of my desires, or is it a dream, is to make movies. So I've bought a lot of books on filmmaking. I don't have the Dummies book. I think I have read the Dummies book. Yeah. This is a Complete Idiot's Guide to Screenwriting. I think it's worth reading. I'm just reading your comments. So there are some other screenwriting books I'd recommend. I don't know if I have them in these boxes currently. I might have them in another box, which I'll show in another video or stream. But like Story by Robert McKee, which I highly recommend. But this is, and I think this might give you advice on what kind of. I think it has a bibliography on like what books to read, further reading. I think maybe I'm wrong. But anyways, I have some of these dummy idiot books, and I have one on filmmaking as well. When I come across that, I'll show it. I have shown some. I was saying in the video preceding this, telling I was going to be on. I have some books I already showed that might be. Maybe I showed the Complete Idiot's Guide to Filmmaking already. I don't think so. So this next one, Michael Weiss book again, Ultimate Filmmaker's Guide to Short Films, written by Kim Edelman. I have a few books on short filmmaking. That's a way I think to go to start off. I have another really good book. I don't know if I showed it already. I think it's called Fast, Cheap, and Under Control. by Noel Gaspard, if I'm correct, and I think it's another Michael Weiss book. And that one talks about movies. I think a lot of them were for the first features of various directors like David Lynch. I think Darren Aronofsky. Um, I think what's his name that did an Inception? Christopher Nolan. I think he's in there too. But it shows how they made their first features on very limited budgets, and it's really good. And David Lynch is featured in that book as well with Eraserhead. So, but I'd recommend this. This book I haven't read. It's another Michael Weiss by Charles Wilkinson, The Working Director. It looks like it's a little water damaged, but that doesn't bother me. I just noticed while showing this that it looks like it's backwards, but it says The Working Director. I don't know how to fix that, but anyways, that's The Working Director. I don't really know a lot about this book, but I maybe it's like a primer on showing you what you're going to be, what it's going to be like on the first day of shooting, so you can. I think that's what it's about. So you're prepared on the day of shooting. I think that's how it goes. Anyways, it's The Working Director. I don't know if there's other people watching. I did put this notice up on Facebook, so I have no idea if there's other people watching, because the only people that can leave comments are people that have YouTube channels. So, anyways, at least I think that's the way it goes. This book is pretty thick and I think very, very technical. But it looked really good. It didn't have a lot of pictures in it, but it's that doesn't bother me. But it's quite a read. I think it's like, well, it's pretty long, 700, 800 pages. I don't know, really long here. Very few pictures, but it's and is it Michael? No, it's Focal Press. It's the VES Handbook of Visual Effects, which is Visual Effects Society, I believe. Yes. Industry Standard Visual Effects Practices and Procedures, edited by Jeffrey A. Ocon and Susan Zwerman. So, anyways, I think it's worth it. And I think you can make special effects today. You don't have to have necessarily CGI. You can, but like if you take Tree of Life, for example, that Douglas Trumbull did some of the effects for, he was doing effects with Terrence Malick, and he was doing them like with paint, like I don't know if it was like paint and water or whatever. I mean, they did that kind of a thing with. I think Douglas Trumbull worked on Close Encounters, and what they did in that particular film is they used salt water and fresh water, I believe, and they poured like paint in it and something like that with at the end of the Close Encounters to get the various cloud effects. But that's yeah. So you don't necessarily have to have the most up-to-date technology in order to do special effects. You can get away with more practical effects, but it's not really how sophisticated or expensive the effect is, it's how convincing it is to me. Oh, no, maybe I should take that back. This is a Michael Weiss book, and this is First Time Director, How to Make Your Breakthrough Movie. So that's, but The Working Director I think, sort of applies to that as well. Oh, and Wolf, in referring to Trumbull, he said that Kubrick was a taskmaster as far as when they made 2001, and that probably was really great technical breakthroughs in that film, but probably a very hard shoot. But anyways, First Time Director. In the blink of an eye. I have it's signed by him too. I met Walter Murch, and I think I showed that book in one of my previous videos. I'd have to look. I'd have to look in my videos to see if I did. I think I showed it. Okay, so now we have this giant box. This is why I got this box from the closet, from the attic. This is why I decided for this video to get this particular box, because it is this book I want to read real bad. I have no idea when I'll read it, but it's on Hitchcock. And I think, I don't know. I mean, there are a lot of books on Hitchcock, and there's, I guess, the Donald Spada one. There's the Francois Truffaut Hitchcock one, which I also have, which is not a bad book, which I've read. But this looks like an exhaustive book on Alfred Hitchcock, so that's why I bought it. And it's Alfred Hitchcock: A Life in Darkness and Light by Patrick McGillican. See how thick it is, and it's let me see, how many pages is this? It's literally 745 pages. So I have no idea when I'll read this. I'd like to buy another Hitchcock film from Criterion, which is Notorious. So yeah, but I mean, and there's pictures in here as well. Like with him with, who's that right there? Selznick, I think, right there. There's him shooting rope. Yeah, so this looks really good. I can't wait to read this and look at all this. Anthony Perkins right there from Psycho. So let's see, where do we go next? As long as we're talking about Hitchcock, we might as well talk about this book, Hitchcock and Selznick. And I apologize for the way it looks, reverse. I guess that's the way. I don't know. I mean, when I shoot my videos and I show, usually it's when I show stuff, it's showing my Blu-rays or DVDs, and usually the camera, when it picks it up, it shows it in the correct way, so that when people are watching it, they can see it in the right way. But anyways, this is Hitchcock and Selznick, the rich and strange collaboration of Alfred Hitchcock and David O. Selznick in Hollywood, by Leonard J. Leff. I can't remember where I bought this, but yeah, Rebecca is covered here. That's where they started off. A young Hitchcock there with this dog. So, and then further, I think he's pretty young right there. But anyways, yeah, I don't know if, so I think Selznick and Hitchcock sort of had a tight, well, not tight. How can I put it? A difficult relationship. Let's put it that way. Oh, it's not reversed on your side. It looks reversed on my side. Well, I mean, it does. It looks reversed on my side, but it's not reversed on your side. Okay. And speaking of Hitchcock Truffaut, I do have that book with me. With these boxes. It's also the case with my movies. Like with Japanese movies, I put it all together, and then Kurosawa's all together, and then early Kurosawa first and later Kurosawa next. So I try to put all the subjects together, like screenwriting books all together, visual effects books all together, biographies all together, various directors all together, each director together. Here's Hitchcock Truffaut. If you'd like to read a book about Hitchcock that has a lot of pictures, this is the book to have, I would say. pretty in depth, I would say. I haven't read this in a really, really, really long time. They break down the Psycho. There's Psycho. They break down, yeah, right here. I think they break down the shower scene pretty big here. So the birds, Marnie. So let's see, where do we go next from here? Okay, so here's a book on Fritz Lang. I picked this up at the Museum of Modern Art in New York City. I bought another book at well, I bought more than one book at MoMA, but this is one of them. And I don't know, I have so much stuff to watch, so much stuff to read. I have no idea when I'll read this, but it's Fritz Lang. I like his films and interviews. So I don't think there's any pictures, but okay. So now we get to there's another Hitchcock book here. The Last Days of Alfred Hitchcock by David Freeman. I work at a library, so I get lots and lots of books. When they get rid of them, I tend to take a lot of them. Film being a big one, a big category that I take a lot from. But I don't know. Maybe I've taken too many film books from the library. I'm not just talking about film books from the library. I'm also talking about history books or various topics, and who knows when I'm going to ever read them. I'm just looking. Oh, and one of the books I wanted to show you that I thought was in another box in another room of the attic. It turns out it's in this very box here, so that's pretty good. Getting that out of the way. Anyways, this is a book. I think I bought it at MoMA too. Stanley Kubrick. It's a Taschen book, which is a company that prints books. It's got some nice pictures. Spartacus. Dr. Strangelove, 2001. There's a centrifuge set there. Clockwork Orange, Barry Lyndon, The Shining, Full Metal Jacket, so I don't know if I read that book or not. I don't think I have. This book I've read. I think I bought this at Borders. Kubrick Inside a Film Artist's Maze, Thomas Allen Nelson. I wish I had better retention of all the books I read, because after a while, I just forget them, and I don't know. I guess I remember some things, but not everything. Going back to Hitchcock for a second, because I see another Hitchcock book. The First 44 Films by Eric Rohmer and Claude Chabrol. I don't know if I don't know if they're essays, but I don't know. I don't know if this is, and I don't know how to pronounce. There's a film journal that oh really? Oh, really, Sasha? You look like Kubrick. I don't know if this is, well, there's a film journal in France, which I think is still around. It's around, I think. Okay, and I don't know how to pronounce French very well. Cahiers de Cinema, or Gaheres. I think it's Cahiers de Cinema. But they had the French New Wave come out of that. I think a lot of the critics and writers for Cahiers de Cinema became filmmakers like Godard and Truffaut, and I think Chabrol and Rohmer fall into that category. And maybe these are Cahiers de Cinema essays, perhaps. So, in any event, that's Hitchcock. the first 44 films. Going back to Kubrick now. This is a nice book. Stanley Kubrick, director, visual analysis by Alexander Walker, Sybil Taylor, Ulrich Ruchti. This is a nice book. I know I can't show you everything. I mean, it would take too long. Maybe I can show you some of the color photos here. Of course, it's 2001. There's Barry Lyndon. I think it's Barry Lyndon there, yeah. And then Eyes Wide Shut. And yeah, Eyes Wide Shut there too. So anyways, this is, I think I read this book and I really enjoyed it. So here's a book I'd like to read this someday. I'd like to get around to doing this. I have the Matrix box set, and it goes in real huge detail, you know, how they shot all the scenes. I talked to Sasha about this, I believe, and they talk about not just that, not just the making, but like the religious significance of it, the philosophical significance of it, of the films, the psychological influence. I think the box sets, as I think I've said before, they have critics that didn't. I think the Wachowskis, if I'm correct on this, oh, you can't pronounce it either. I think they have two commentaries on each movie, and I think the film critics don't like the film, but they invited them to do it and to say what they had to say. I think that's the case, and correct me if I'm wrong. And then they had Cornel West, who's a professor at Harvard. I think he's Harvard, and I think it's another professor, and they also did a commentary, and I think, you know, they appreciated it. But anyways, here's the book on the Matrix, The Art of the Matrix. It's got like comic strip, graphic novel kind of stuff, you know. There's what's her name, Trinity. It would take too long to show all this, but, and of course, as Sasha has told me, he says that this is ripped out of Ghost in the Shell. So, but anyways. So I have both Ghost in the Shell. I've yet to watch it. Let's see. Some looks like pastels there. And then you get the script with it. And then maybe this is the Wachowskis' thumbnails before I think they hired a graphic artist to draw storyboards. So, yeah, this is an expensive book. You know, like that Hitchcock book I showed you, the very first one, I believe it was, the very thick one, that I bought off of Amazon. People said to me, like, when you buy stuff off of Amazon, books I'm talking about, you can get them cheap if they're a little damaged. Like, I think this is a little damaged, but the shipping is what gets you, I guess they say. But because if you buy if you buy this at Borders, which no longer exists, but if you bought it there, Barnes and Noble probably too. You're paying like oh, 40 bucks or something, 50. I don't know, but that's why I bought it off of Amazon. But this one, I think I bought it at Borders. Okay. Some books I have, I don't know if I'm ever going to read them, but they're like, I got them cheap or used or whatever. It's A World of Movies. You know, Humphrey Bogart and what's her name? Ingrid Bergman on there. I think that's Vincent Price. That's another movie. That's Betty Davis up there, I think, is Elizabeth. Various movies. I don't know when I'll ever read these books, but I have them. So, and I have another one. It's sort of same kind of thing. It's an old book. Just another book about 50 years in the movies. Of course, that's dated already. But maybe you can still get something out of old books. I mean, other old books, you know, like history books. I don't know. Think about history books as like, if you read current history books, maybe that's a little bit better than reading books that are older. I did read a book a few months back that I finished on the history of Japan, and maybe it was a little dated, but I read it anyway. So, anyways, let's see. Okay, so now we got, this is a book. I think Orson Welles' daughter was supposed to be at the Burns for this, and I think that's where I picked this up. But she didn't show up. I think they were going to show a film of Orson Welles that had legal problems being released. I think, I don't know. I can't remember. It was a few years back. So they showed Touch of Evil instead, and I guess you got this book. I think that's where I came across this book. In My Father's Shadow, a Daughter Remembers Orson Welles, Chris Wells Vedder. So I have some other books on Orson Welles too. I don't know. I don't know if they're. Here's Orson Welles as a child. F for Fake there, and his wife, his last wife, I guess, Oja Kodar, who was in a really good movie. His last movie, which you can see on Netflix, called The Other Side of the Wind. Really good movie. I highly recommend it. And there's a documentary that's also on Netflix about the making of the movie, and that's called They'll Love Me When I'm Dead. So this is a book I picked up. Maybe I thought I could do it myself, but who knows? I don't know. It looked appealing, and the front really looked appealing. It's The Art of Maya, which is Maya's a special effects software or whatever. That's Gollum, of course, from Lord of the Rings. I don't know. Maybe you have to be pretty good at math and science to be good at computerized special effects, visual effects. I would never ever, if you're making a movie and you want to use visual effects, rule out using practical ones too, you know? But this book I've had for ages. I want to read it real bad. Maybe partially because I've been buying, I think I have a lot of the Disney films by now. I think I have I think I have most of them. But anyways, I got this a long time ago, like in the late 80s. It's a really nice book, Disney animation, The Illusion of Life. It's got, what's his name? Pinocchio on there. So it's about what are those guys called? The 9 old men and 11 old men. They were the guys that did animation for Walt Disney's movies. So this is fantastic. So at one point, I hope to read this book. Wait a minute. This is them there, I think. Oh, maybe not. I don't know. I think those are the guys right there. I'm not sure. But, you know, shows all the films they worked on with Walt Disney. You know, well, Walt Disney died, I think, in 1966, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember what he died of, if it was a heart attack or lung cancer or what, but yeah, Peter Pan there. I don't have Peter Pan. I have a fair number of the Disney movies, though. I've shown them in my collection videos, which you can see those if you scroll down my videos. You can there's a particular video where I show all my Disney and Pixar. So, but anyways, this is loaded with information. So, anyways. Next up, this is Industrial Light and Magic. They've had further editions of books on Industrial Light and Magic. This is one of their earlier ones. This maybe it's the first for all I know, but it's Industrial Light and Magic: The Art of Special Effects by Thomas G. Smith. It's got introduction by George Lucas. Did he die of cancer? I think he died of cancer. The emblem there. When I was a teenager, I went to a youth group, and I met a guy that I think I met. One of the guests was a filmmaker. He sent me some filmmaking information. He sent me a filmmaking magazine. I think this is the way it goes. And so anyways, in that magazine, I found the address of ILM in California. I also found the address of Apogee. I think that's what John Dykstra's company was called after he left ILM. I sent them letters, both of them. I think both of them responded back. I managed to get the phone number for ILM. I wanted to take a tour there, and I was young and I wanted to like meet Spielberg or whatever, but I don't know. It's just speaking of this right here, this Raiders of the Lost Ark, I have I'll try and show it at some point, a magazine that's printed by the company that did Starlog and does Starlog, and I think Fangoria is still around. They show you how to do this effect. It was a magazine for young filmmakers to make like fantasy, science fiction, and horror movies. Anyways, I sent a letter to ILM and they found it. They said I couldn't. They didn't really encourage me to come there, but they found the letter. So, but anyways, the way I found that letter, that's ET right there. Miniature. If you can, so, but I think that's Empire Strikes Back, if I'm not mistaken. Matte painting, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. I think that's Star Wars right there. I think that's Empire Strikes Back. I'm not sure. It's Return of the Jedi. I think this book, they split it up into various categories like miniatures, matte paintings. This is Star Trek II. right there. The right what's that thing called? Regula One, the space lab, the science lab in space. Here's where this is very early on in computer CGI, but this is where it started. I would say with ILM. I think there's a reference. Yes, Andre and Wally B. That's a reference to. Oh, thank you, Sasha, for notifying LJ. This is when they're first handling CGI. This is the beginnings. Yeah, you know, young Sherlock Holmes there, stained glass night. Then they show. That's a picture of the when they're them shooting Star Wars. You know, the group, the special effects crew that shot Star Wars. You know, when they shot Star Wars, when they shot the scenes of the Death Star, they were using like a camera that was going over a trench. You know, like in the the Death Star, they have those like trenches in the Death Star. They were just going. They had these like model kits set up on this parking lot, and they had like pickup trucks going with the camera attached, going down into those trenches or whatever. If you understand what I'm saying. So, but that's the beginning of like special effects for you. You know, I mean, well, that's not the beginning of special effects. That's the beginning of ILM. And then John Dykstra would go on to form his own company. John Dykstra invented, I think it's called the Dykstra Flex. It's a motion control camera. What you do is you set in coordinates. Of course, this is archaic by today's standards, but you'd set in coordinates, and I think through an optical printer. I can't remember exactly all of it, but it would lay in the spaceship, the background. Back in those days, you even had to use, you used film, and you had to put down a black silhouette from the traveling mats and Poltergeist there. Cocoon. There's the crew, the special effects people. ILM. Goonies. Back to the Future. I have read this book. Let me show you some things on here, if I can find it. Oh, this is cool. I think they use like a snapshot camera. This is Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Remember the mine car? This is it was shot with miniatures. You say the name. I suppose you call it the Hidden Fortress. Yeah, so there's something I wanted to show, and I can't seem to find it. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, here's Poltergeist. That's what I wanted to show. I wanted to show, oh, I don't know. Bear with me. Oh, let me show you something else here. I'm going to take the cover off because it's just getting in the way. Ralph McQuarrie, who's now passed away. George Lucas tried to. He was going around Hollywood trying to get his first Star Wars film financed. He was having no luck. Alan Ladd Jr. was the guy that said, "Okay, let's take a chance on you," or whatever. But he hired this guy named Ralph McQuarrie to do these drawings or these paintings to convince people to make Star Wars. So that's one thing I wanted to show. Well, that's the thing I just saw, but Um, let's see. Here's E.T. right here. See, they shot it before. This is before CGI. As Sasha and probably Wolf know, Um, there's where is he? There's Steven Spielberg right there. I'm trying to find Poltergeist. I wanted to show a really interesting image, and I don't know where it is. I do see Poltergeist pictures there, but that's not what I was going to show. Oh, since you like Back to the Future, Sasha, there's the DeLorean right there. Creatures at ILM. I think that might be it. Oh, here it is. This is Poltergeist. For that particular shot at the end of the film, I think it's the end of the movie. They had that model dunked in water. So, yeah. The 2002 release with the digital ET was awful. Yeah, they shouldn't have. Well, I haven't seen the 2002 release, and I think I have it on hold to buy at the library. I think you can get. I think it's the one with the old ET, and then the one with, instead of shotguns, they have like walkie-talkies, which I think is just stupid. I don't know why. Well, maybe Spielberg felt like maybe making films like Saving Private Ryan that maybe we should respect authority, the military, the police, or whatever, because when he started off, he was making films like Close Encounters, and the military is, referred to as like a kind of a bad, a bad, is wrong, as not the covering things up and just not on the right side of things. Okay, so now we got some Matrix books. I can't remember. I don't think I've read these Matrix books, but this one's called The Matrix and Philosophy. I don't think there's any pictures in here. Welcome to the desert of the real, the desert of the real. Edited by William Irwin. I think it's just essays. There's another one on Fight Club. I might have shown that one. I think it's called You Do Not Talk About Fight Club. You can look at my videos in the past. Maybe I'll try and leaf through my videos and see if I did show it. I think I did, because I like I said, I've done like, I don't know, 6, 7 videos that were not streams. Back maybe last year, I don't know, early last year, where I showed my books. So I showed some of my film books. This next one's another Matrix book, Taking the Red Pill, Science, Philosophy, and Religion in the Matrix. Edited by Glenn Yeffeth and introduction by David Gerald. And I don't think there's any text pictures. It's just text. It's another one. I think I have read this. This is a pretty good, pretty nice book. I highly recommend the BFI books, British Film Institute monograph books. I showed that in one of my videos, and they're really interesting. They're like, I don't know, 90, 100, 120 page books with pictures in them. They're like this, they're like this big maybe. And they like cover a particular film from a particular angle. Like, for example, Camille Paglia, the feminist professor, she tackles The Birds by Hitchcock by applying um, Greek tragedy towards it. Um, I sent one of them to Sasha, um, the Taxi Driver book. But anyways, so this is BFI. I think it's BFI. Yeah, and this is one of the. This is not a monograph book, but this is comes from the same company, and yeah. So I have one on Psycho too. I don't know if I showed that in a previous video. There's some pictures in here, I think. Yes. Um, yeah. So the Psycho one is really. I don't think I've read the Psycho one, but it looks really cool. This one's called Crafting Short Screenplays That Connect. I think I read the previous edition, and it comes with a DVD, I believe. Yeah, well, no, I believe it does, which has movies that these scripts are coming from. Just telling you how to write a good short movie. So, Crafting Short Screenplays That Connect, second edition by Claudia Hunter Johnson. We're getting near the end here. This one is Writing the Short Film by Pat Cooper and Ken Danziger. These books, this book and this one, are both Focal Press, which is another company that prints a lot of film books. I think that's my Nietzsche. Oh, no. It's Orwell, George Orwell postcard. I like 1984. I think it's a good book. And my friend gave me Animal Farm to read. I thought that was really good too. But anyways, this is a book on writing short films. So just, yeah. I'm reading some of the comments. Yeah, Orwell's great. I don't think they have a record of Orwell's voice. I don't know if they have any film footage of him. Of course, they have photographs and they have his writings, but I don't know. I don't think they have any audio footage of him, which I think is the case. I think I've read this book. It's Touch of Evil, Orson Welles, Terry Cornetto, editor. It's just a bunch of essays in Touch of Evil. So, and the last book, and it's not a film book. I guess I put it here because I didn't know where to put it. Because, some of these boxes have a mishmash of stuff because, I run out of room in one box. So I have to put it with other stuff. So anyways, it's sort of in a way, it's sort of a film. I think this became a film. This is Hal. It's based on Allen Ginsberg's poem. I think I bought this at the Burns. Maybe I didn't. I can't remember. Jacob Burns Film Center in Pleasantville, New York. Anyways, sort of like a graphic novel approach to Hal. So, anyways, I guess that finishes it. Maybe I'll try another video tomorrow night where I'll show some more film books. This box is kind of a bitch to bring down from the attic from this narrow hallway. Technically, it's not a hallway; it's a staircase. It's very narrow to get down to my apartment. So it's a bitch putting all the books in, and it's really heavy. But I don't know. You gotta store them somehow. So, anyways, I guess that does it. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate everybody watching, and people watching that will watch after this video is taped. Streamed, I should say. But anyways, I'll try and find something. Road to Perdition. I didn't think it was that fantastic, but Sasha. I think was it. I think Roger was Roger on. Didn't he guard the sets of to Perdition? Because I think he did. I think he was one of the night guys that watched the sets when they were. Yes, right. Yes. Maybe it's on his channel. I think maybe there's some footage on his channel of him, um, watching the sets. Yeah, but uh, Road to Perdition, I didn't think it was that fantastic. Amazing American Beauty, I liked. That was very good. Um, yeah. So, and of course, Sam Mendes directed Skyfall. Skyfall, I think I got it for free, or maybe I paid a few bucks for it from the library because every maybe a lot of people stream these days. So there's a whole bunch of movies, Blu-rays and DVDs in the basement of the library. They call it the bookseller, and they have a, a entity or group of the library called the Friends, with volunteers that sell used books, vinyl, used and new Blu-rays and DVDs. So I've bought a whole bunch of stuff there. I've managed to really come across some stuff. In fact, they're holding a bunch of stuff for me right now, and it's amazing because there's a I found a few Criterions that way. I've bought one of the Criterions from one of their sales way back, and I'm holding a few. I'm holding a bunch of Blu-rays and DVDs, and a few of those happen to be Criterions. So, but Skyfall for me, I like this. I like the first hour, maybe it was an hour and a half. I don't know. When they get up to Scotland and they use MacGyver type gadgets to fight back, I didn't like the MacGyver. Um, I didn't like they didn't Q makes these real sophisticated gadgets for Bond to fight the villains with, and when they made these contraptions like MacGyver contraptions, I thought it was just awful. And I'm one of the few that likes Quantum of Solace. So, anyways, oh hi, Celluloid Shot. We're just wrapping up. I showed all my books. Well, not my books in the box that I was showing. I have more books than that, but anyways, you can catch this video, Cellulite Shot, after I wrap it up, which will be any second now. So, anyways, I guess that's it. I don't know what else to say, so I'm gonna go now. Thanks, Wolf. Thanks, Cellulite Shot. Thanks, Sasha. Um, Sasha, you like Quantum of Solace? Brian, just to be signaling there. Whereabouts with that torch? Um, Celluloid Shot, I'm thinking of doing a video tomorrow night. Maybe I've been caught by this live stream bug, because Sasha, of course, does it a fair amount, and there's some other people, CP, and then there are other people I follow on YouTube, music people that show them playing music, and garage band people, mixing people, mixing music. And like last night I watched CP's wife doing Roger Corman's The Terror with two other people, Dino, whose channels he was on here earlier. I don't know if he's on here right now, and Queenie Todd. They were on a stream last night, which I watched. But anyways, everybody seems to be streaming these days, and I have streamed in the past. I streamed in December, and I was showing some. What was I showing? Oh, I was showing my favorite films of all time. Yeah, and honorable mentions. But anyways, yeah, Quantum. I really think Quantum is not as bad as people think it is. I like the song too. I think it's Alicia Keys and Sam Smith, right? Is that the cover song? I don't know, but anyways, now 6 people are on here, and I'm just about to wrap up. Anyways, oh, hey, Paul. Um, so I've been Paul. I've been on here doing a video showing one of my boxes of books, which was film books, and yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up. Um, Anyways, yeah, Alicia Keys. I like her music a lot. I have a lot of her albums. Um, yeah, I understand, Paul. Yeah, so I don't know. Um, all right, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it, Paul, Sasha, Wolf, Dino. If you're still there, Cellulite Shot. Anyways, thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon. Bye.